Okay, good evening, all of you. So, I think you may hear now. So, tell me in the chat session whether you can hear me or not. Okay, good evening. Okay, today the lab session is what is the lab sheet number? The lab sheet number 10, the macro. So, macro part. So, it mentioned as lab tutorial 13. So, did you cover the macros in the lecture? That means C pre-processing with macros. Did you cover the C pre-processing macros in the lectures? No. Okay, doesn't matter. So macro is a little bit. It is not an advanced thing. So before going for the macro, that which mean macro mean it is looks like a function. You covered the functions. No, in the labs and lectures you covered the function. So macros are a little bit similar to the function, but actually it is not a function. So first of all, you must know what is the preprocessor in C program. So before going to the macros, macro is a part of C preprocessing. Macro is a part of C preprocessing. So in this lab session, you will learn the preprocessor and how to write macro in C. So therefore, I little bit introduce you these things. So you will cover the theory part in the lecture also. The C preprocessor is not a part of compiler, but it is a separate step compilation process. In simplest term, a C preprocessor is just a text substitution tool, and they instruct compiler to do required preprocessing before the actual compilation. We refer to C preprocessor at CPP. CPP means short name, C preprocessor. So what does it mean by C preprocessor? It is not a part of compiler. So it is not the compilation process. So C preprocessor means it will be done before the compiler. Before compiling your program, there is a part called C preprocessor. For an example, so let's see. So when you're writing this kind of C program, so you know hash include stdio.h. What does it mean by hash include stdio.h header file? What does it mean by hash include? Anyone knows? What is the meaning of hash include stdio.header file? Include yeah, it's include the header file. So that means stdio, that means standard input output header file. As if that if you inside the printf function, if you inside the main function, if you put printf printf, likewise this hello world, likewise if you print, so actually compiler doesn't know what is the meaning of printf. Compiler doesn't know how to use this printf. This printf is an inbuilt function. However, this function declaration and implementation is available in a separate file. It's available in a separate file called stdio.h. Inside this file, this printf function available. So before compiling, so now when you're trying to compile, that mean not using that code blocks. Code blocks also it is try to compile using the GCC compiler. How to manually compile? You are writing in the command prompt GCC, and after that whatever the file name first.c and -o, after that abc or whatever the output. So that is the compilation. So before compilation, you have to include this header file. Otherwise, the compilation not successful because it cannot compile this printf part. Printf was scanf. So if you use this kind of one, let's say int x, then doesn't matter. Int x you can work. After that, x equal 9, x equal 9. That is also, it can do along. Only thing is it cannot print because this function written in the stdio.header file. So you have to, before compilation process, you have to include. This including part we called as pre-processing. Not only this one, there are several pre-processing available. In C programs, there are several pre-processing available. This is a one of C processing. That means one preprocessor command is include, hash include, one preprocessor command. It include whatever the files, math.header file and stdio, likewise con.io header file. There are several header files available. So you may include that one. It is a preprocessor. Before compilation, this will pre-process. Do you now? I think you have a rough idea of what is pre-processing. Not only this part, there are several things available in C processing. I am not going to teach you everything. So I am going to teach you what are the things you need for the macros. What are the pre-processing commands? Now this is not actually, this part you do not need for the macros. This is for the printf part. For the printf for scanf, when you are writing the printf for scanf, before compilation you need to include this one. So compiler will include that part. So this is the, we called as a pre-processing part. So this is not belongs to you. So C preprocessor is not a part of compiler step-by-step compilation, but separate step-by-step. That means it is a separate step-by-step compilation process. Actually separate step-by-step compilation process mean actually here there is not the step-by-step, only one step is available. But when you are writing macros, it can be step-by-step compilation process. It is a separate one, not the main compilation. Not like this kind of main compilation. Preprocessor is a separate compilation part, but according to this example, only one line is available. And the C preprocessor is just a text substitution tool, and they instruct compiler to do required preprocessing before the actual compilation. Okay. And the C preprocessor is very simple but powerful tool in C programming language. It is very simple thing. There is no any advanced things. I will come to that part later. Very simple thing. So, but it is very powerful tool. Why it is powerful? There are so many advantages available. That means C preprocessing is very fast than compilation process. That means when you are writing a macro, when you are trying to write a macro is a very fast than the normal function. So assume that you write a function for the add two numbers. Assume that you want to add, now you know the functions. I think now you have the proper idea of the function from the previous lab session. So in the functions, assume that you have, for an example, assume that now you are writing the function. So void add int number 1, comma int number 2. Likewise, here you return number 1 plus number 2, and you write the function prototype before the main function. Here you write function prototype. Likewise, here you write the function prototype. Okay, now this is a function. So remember that you can rewrite this function. That means the function is compiled. This function will be compiled by the default compilation process. Default compilation process, this function will be compiled. So you can write a macro to this function. That means the same task will be done by a macro. So I will teach you how to do that one. So however, if you wrote a macro instead of this function, macro is faster than the function rather than writing this function, because that macros are pre-processing. It is very fast than the normal function. Not the very fast, but usually it is faster than the usual function. processed by the compiler prior to the compiling it. The preprocessor allows you to combine files using hash include or hash include or define. There are several things available. So I'll come to that part. So those are the several pre-processing part. Hash define. I think now you know the hash define part. That means hash define 5 is equal 3.14. Likewise, that means you define the 5 value, constants value. So this is a pre-processing part. I think you know those things, defining part. So now constants part 3.14. You may use it inside the main function or any other function. So I'll remove the function part here. So likewise, there are so many things. Hash include, you know already. What is the meaning of hash include? That insert particular header file. So hash define means substitutes the preprocessor macro. And hash include, which mean, so it's include the header file or any other your that means custom file written by you or whatever the one. And the undef mean undefined a preprocessor macro. That mean if you already define the preprocessor macro, if you want to, that mean delete that one, that mean undefine that one, you may use that one. And if def mean already defined the macro. That means for an example, if def abc, check whether there is an abc, there is a macro called abc. So I'll come to that part later. So when you are writing this one, so there are several things available. If def if else if, likewise you may write. There are several preprocessor commands available. Okay, so we used hash define for the macro part. For an example, macros here, the hash define, there is no any minus sign. I think there is a mistake. I think there is a mistake, that minus part. Only the hash define is available. And the file inclusion hash include, and conditional operation if def, if ndef. Likewise, there are so many things available. Okay. So this is programs easier to develop. Sometimes you may think that it is not easy, it is harder than the function. Sometimes you may think. So, but when you are using when you are using actually, that means it is very easy. That means there are several things available. So when you are learning this one, you may identify what does it mean by easier to develop. And easier to read. That means everyone can read that one, understand. That means non-programmers also can read that one and easily understand. And easy to modify, and as well as C code most transferable between the different machine architectures. So C program is not platform independent, it is depend on the platform. So that macros part, actually you can easily transfer different architecture. That means Linux, Windows, and Apple machines. Likewise, so those are the you will learn those things later. So today I will do the, so, and there is another one, difference. So there are advantages and disadvantages, both are available for the macros. So here, if you get the macro, it is pre-processed. Function is compiled. That means function will compile. So macros will be pre-processed before compilation of any function. So those are things. No type checking. Macros, no type checking. That no type checking means, for an example, if you put so when you are declaring that when you are declaring a variable, you have to declare the number one is an integer type. Number one is integer type. So in the macro, you do not need to define what is the data type. Just number one comma number two is enough. It will automatically identify whether number one is a character value or integer value or double value or whatever the one. You do not need to explicitly say what is the data type. Macro automatically identify what is the data type. So that is why it's a little bit easier when you are coding. no type check in are there, but function you have to put the type check in. You have to put int or whatever the one. And the code length increase in the macro, it is little bit increase the code length, but here code length same. So you will learn those things. There are several things that execution is faster here, execution is slower. Why? Because the macro execution is faster because it is pre-processed. So likewise, there are several things in the macro does not check compilation error. Assume that when you are writing a macro, so it doesn't check any compilation error. So, but function, it check the compilation error. So, so before going to that one, I will write a simple macro for an example. Assume that I delete this part. And assume that now you need to add two numbers. So when you add the two numbers using the so using the function, how to add the two numbers? Using the function, you have to write void, sorry, return type is int add int number 1 comma number 2. So after that, what you have to do is you have to return number 1 plus number 2. Okay. Now this is the usual add function. So here you may use, and you may use the printf. Let's say addition of 5 and 6 is percentage %t slash n. You may call the add function here, add 5 comma 6. So this is usually you write the function using the add. So when you are running, addition of 5 plus 6 is 11. Okay, anyone has problem how to write a function before going for the macro? Anyone has problem? No problem. Just tell me at least whether you can hear me or not.
Can hear, sir.
Okay, so what I have to do is now I will rewrite. So this is the function prototype and this is the function. Okay, now I am going to write this function using macro. So how to write this one? First of all, so you have to use this one when you are writing the macro, hash define. Here, hash define. This substitutes the preprocessor macro. So you have to use hash define. Okay, when you are defining, you have to provide the name. That means, so previously you put assume that when you are using the pi is equal 3.14. That means there is a that means there is a pre-definition preprocessor available pi. The value is 3.114. That is the value. Likewise, when you are defining the function, you have to provide a name. So here the function is add. Therefore, I'll provide this one as add. And there are two parameters available. So there are two parameters available. So, but usually do not write int number 1, number 2. You have to provide this one as int. So it will be work properly, but when you are writing the function, you have to provide this kind of one, int likewise. So what you have to do is next one is hash define. Okay, this is your macro, and after that you have to provide What are the two parameters? Number one and number two. There is no, you do not need to write the type of the data type, that means integer. Just type number one, comma, number two. Okay. After that, put a space, and there is no any brackets available. If you want, you may use that curly braces. I will come to that part later. What you can do is you have to provide what is the answer. Now there is a preprocessor macro call add. What is the answer of this add? The answer of this add is number one plus number two. So within the bracket, so brackets are optional here. Within the bracket, the answer is, the definition of this add is number one plus number two. So definition of this add is number one plus number two. So now I remove the my integer part. Sorry, this function part I remove. So then I call add the 5 and 6 is 11. So that means this is my macro. The simple. You have write only one line, and there is no return number one and number two, because this is not looks like a function. The macro mean it is a definition. That means it is pre-compile and give you the answer. That means it is a definition. There is a function called add. So it is defined as number one and number two. ඒ කියන්නේ add කියලා macro එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකේ answer එක වෙන්නේ, ඒක value එක වෙන්නේ number 1 plus number 2 කියන එක. So that is the definition of the macro. So I think now you have the little bit idea of a macro, and this is how you call the macro. You may call the macro here like a function. You may call the macro. Anyone has problem? Okay, next one is macro continuation. So there is a continuation. So what does it mean by continuation is, for an example, assume that you need to provide this answer in the next line. Assume that you do not like to provide it in one line. So remember that usually macros written in one line. We do not go beyond one line. When you are writing macro, we usually do not go beyond one line. So that means here, you may see part 8, generally macros do not extend beyond one line. Functions can be number of lines. Functions can be any number of lines. That means when you are writing the function, so here there are first line and open curly brace, after that return statement, after the closing, there are 3 or 4 lines available. But usually we write in only one line. So that is not a mandatory part. If you want, you can go for the several lines. And there is a question, Maya Dunavi. So in the printf statement, what is there? It is a function or macro. So printf is a function. It is not a macro. Printf is a function. It is defined inside the stdio.header file. It is a function defined in stdio.header file. What is add 5 6? So that Maya Duna, you mean, is it a function or macro? This part you asked, this highlighted part, that Maya Duna, you asked that add 5 6. Yes, this is now you are calling the macro, because there is no any add function you written here. There is no any add function you written. Now you are calling this macro. This is we called as macro. Now you are calling this macro. That means in this is you are calling printf function. Inside the printf function, you are calling macro. So if for an example, assume that let's say you are int answer is equal add 5 comma 6. Okay. After that, you are passing answer. Put a different value, 3 and 4. 3 and 4. Addition number of 3 and 4. So when you run this one, now addition of 3 and 4 is 7. That means what happened now? This is the function. Printf is a function. Now this is a variable declaration answer. So this value is equal. Here you call the macro now. Here you call the macro. The macro is available. Assume that there is no macro function available like in the previous lab session. Then you are calling the macro. So macro is this one. This is your caller. Here this is your calling. Macro එක තියෙන්නේ මෙතන. මේකට තමයි macro එක කියන්නේ. Macro එක මෙතන තියෙන්නේ. ඔයා call කරන්නේ මෙතන. So don't think that you need to write a macro always here. There are several ways of writing macro. Not only this one. If you want, you may write the macro in a different file. If you want, you may write the macro when you are calling also. That means when you are calling in the command line, you can write the macro, define likewise. So those are the several things. So you do not need to go beyond that one for the advanced things of the macro. So this is we called as macro definition, and this is the call of macro. Okay. And so 94L, how the memory allocation happen. In the memory allocation, actually it is pre-process and doing that one. Actually, I have no idea of how the memory allocation is there. I'll check and let you know about that part. And 194186M. So is hash include stdio header file also a macro? It is not a macro. So remember that macro mean it is not all preprocessors are macros. That means when you are including the hash include that part. So those are pre-processing. So when you are writing this one, we call this one as that means when you are writing it one as a function, it is a macro. Not all things are macros. So this is a pre-processing part. This is a pre-processing part, and this is a macro. Okay. Both them are the pre-processing part. Both hash include and the hash define is a pre-processing part, and this is the pre-processing part. So this special pre-processing part we call it as a macro. So according to my knowledge, yeah, that is the one. So this one is the macro. So and next one is continuation. So assume that now this is you wrote a macro in one line. Assume that now you need to put this one, that mean so definition part number 1 and number 2 in the second line. That means you can go to the second line. Okay. So when you see that when you go to the second line, it is not highlighted as green color. That means this is a separate thing now. Macro end from here. This is the macro end from here. This is a separate part. Then there will be a compilation error. So what you do is continuation. Assume that this part is continuation of this part. Then you have to use the backslash end of here. So backslash. Did I make any mistake? Yeah, okay. When you put in the backslash, it's automatically identified. So you may use the brackets also. You have to put the backslash and run. Now it is in the second line. So usually we wrote macros in one line. Assume that macro is little bit advanced. You can't write it in one line. Then you can go more than one line. If it is a little bit advanced things, then you can go for the more than one line. Remember that when you are going more than one line, you have to put the continuation mark, the backslash, except the last line. Do not put backslash here. What happens if you put the backslash here? Then void main also part of the function. Okay, sorry, part of the macro. If you put backslash here, that means this part, next line also part of the uh, macro. So void main is not a part of the macro. Therefore, do not put backslash in the last line. And there is a question 64V. So with the brackets, add 3, 4. If we use two user input variable, does it according to the order of the according of the if use input mean using a scanf function. I don't know whether you ask from the use input means scanf function or any other user input. 64V Pereira PKNP. If you use T, yeah, scanf function. Yes, doesn't matter. If you want, you may use it by the scanf function. That mean assume that printf, although it is that means pre-process. So you can when you are runtime, you can get it from the scanf function and substitute that one. So sometimes at the moment sometimes you may get confused what does it mean by the, then what is the meaning of the pre-processing part. So actually at the time I can't explain that part. So you'll be identify when you are doing the lecturing part. However, you can get it from the scanf. Let's say enter number 1. After that scanf percentage D. Let's say and number 1. So declare the number 1 here before this one. Int number 1 comma number 2. Declare 2 variables. After that enter number 1 scanf percentage D and number 1. Likewise, you can get the second number from the scanf function. Number 2 here at number 2. After that int answer is add number 1 number 2, and after that addition of 2 numbers enter number 1, let's say 8, enter number 2, let's say 4. So addition of 2 numbers is 12. 8 plus 4. So here it's like 18 and 24. So here put some 2 dots, colons, and enter number 1, 3, enter number 2, 9. So answer is 12. Again, enter number 5, enter number 2 is 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. However, it's called by the macro. And 194001U. In what situation do we use the macros? Actually, there is no situation. Assume that actually all the functions actually you can't replace with the macros, because macro is actually not a function, but some functions you may rewrite in macros. Assume that you need to do the very fast execution part, then you may write it in the macro. Otherwise, no point of using the macros according to my knowledge. I'll check and let you know if there is any other advantages available when you are writing the macros. Okay, anyone has any other problem up to here? Okay, 94L. Can we use macros for char and string type? Yes, whatever the data type, you may use the macro. That means, so here when you add in the, assume that you need to manipulate this one, you may use the character values, double values, whatever the one, because it is not defined whether integer or whatever the one. Okay, now this is another one. Hash define. So what message for and pass A and B. For an example, let's say we pass the values as we pass the values for hash and B. For an example, so let's say hash define message for or message or whatever the one. Here I put the message and pass two variables a comma b. After that I put a continuation and go to the next line. So next line is printf. So I print the lines. So you remember that. So if you need to print the a, you may directly print hash a and space. After that you may use and. After that you may use hash b. Hash b means second one. So after that you may use welcome. Okay, there is no any that semicolon part, that you just print this kind of one. So here what you can do is, inside here you call the message. You call the message and pass the variables. Let's say two names, Saman, comma, Kamal. And after that you are going to run this one. So did I make any mistake? In this part, do you need any? Not this one. You are passing this part, Saman and comma. Error expected hash include what is that error? Third line. Hash A miss double quotation in your binding. Did I miss any double quotation? Here, when you're binding this part and after that this part. Okay, now I put a space and here I pass Saman and comma. So here I use this kind of a hash define a and b. Here hash define a b. After that printf. So here you may directly access a, as in that you pass it as a string. So you may directly access hash a. When you put hash a, whatever the name. Here I pass the summon. Then summon. After that you concatenate and hash b. Hash b mean you pass the Kamal. Summon and Kamal. After that welcome. So this will be there. So after that, if you want, you may use /n. Saman and Kamal, this one. So here you next one is you do not need to provide the So if you provide with the single quotes, double quotes, it will be print as it is in the double quotes. So you can pass that string values directly like variables. You may directly pass it as variables. So whatever these things you pass will be called. Saman and Kamal, welcome. And there is a question 99A. So should the first line in this current program be included? I didn't understand that part. So should the first line in this current program? So in the printf statement, there is no semicolon, then how it will be run? So actually this is what does it mean by semicolon? Semicolon mean terminating. The line terminate. Here line terminate, you do not know. After that there is a next line. So here actually there is no any termination part available. So like this, likewise this semicolon. So that means if you want, you may write that semicolon also, it will be run semicolon, but that is optional. You do not need to in the macros. That is why it's a everyone can understand. It is not type checking, so you may directly run. Actually, this is not. That means it is not obey to the general syntax in the C program. So you may rewrite this one. So like in hash A, hash B, likewise. So here, so without semicolon also it's work. And then 89C. So why don't we use double quotation near A? Why put double quotation? Why put double quotation near B? So double quotation mean actually you are concatenating. Actually here double quotation mean, so this double quotation mean, so this is the hash A. So whatever the one summon, print the summon, after that add this and to the summon. First of all print the summon, after that add this A space and space to the summon, after that print this hash B, after that print this one. So when you are printing something, here you have to use the double quotes. That is why we put double quote. That means this is one string, so I put a space here. This is another string, second string. First string, this is the first string, highlighted one, and this is the second string, highlighted one. In between first and second string, you substitute A and B. And 194055L. So should hash include the one to run this program? So I think so this one actually it is no need. The printf function, when you are compiling, so at the compile time, yeah, without that part also it's work. That means when you are using the actually printf function, you not written in the main functions, inside the main function, it is in the preprocessor. So therefore it's work without hash include part. Yeah, when you are putting that one, it's work without hash include. So actually I think it should be include, because here also printf function available. Sometimes it may be the code blocks. I'll check and let you know, but usually you need the, here you use the printf function. I think the hash include should be there. So likewise, so not this one. So likewise this hash include, this part should be there. Without that one, however this one works without that part. I'll check and let you know that one. So usually hash include used for the printf and scanf. That means standard input and output. And so can't we write any program excluding hash include stdio header file? Yeah, you can write any program hash include without this one. That means assume that without any hash include, you may write int x and int y, x equal 3, y equal 9. After that, int answer is equal x plus y. So when you run this one, so this one works without hash include because there is no any scanf and printf function. There is no any scanf and printf function. So what happened inside in the memory, x variable declared, y variable declared, and assign 3 to the x, 9 to the y. After that, answer variable declared 3 plus 9, 12. 12 will be assigned to the answer variable. After that, program finish. No, that means nothing to display because there is nothing to display. That just program run and finish. So because there is no any scanf and printf, so without scanf and printf, you can run this one. So you need, if you use the scanf function, that means scanf function, let's say answer is, let's say percentage d slash n, and when you pass the answer, and when you are running, so actually this is so wait a minute. Actually when you are running, it give you the that in my one it will be get stuck because it doesn't identify what is the scanf function. Sorry, not the scanf function. You have to use the printf. So this will work this one properly without hash include because of the, I think this is the Unix operating system. It automatically include that part on behalf of you. So actually that is the problem in my one. Actually, I think in when you are normally compile using GCC, this will give you an error because scanf function doesn't work this one. There will be no such kind of answer. So you have to manually include that one. That means hash include. Because I am using the code blocks in the Unix program, that means Unix operating system, that means Mac OS. So this one, it seems to be automatically imported. So try to this one using the compiler. So that means for an example, so try to compile, I think my one is cd gcc first.c minus o abc. So first of all, save this file. One warning generated. Okay, just print only the warning messages because this one is not void. This is in, that is why the warning message is generated. And let's say printf hello /n and save this file, both one, and try to compile and run. So it print hello, answer is 12. Now try to remove this one. I think when you are removing, this will not work. Yeah, there is a printf function. It cannot identify the printf part. So printf hello world. So this will give you an error. So I put it clear and do this one. So it will give you that it can't identify the printf. So just ignore this printf part. Okay, now it has been generated. So when you are running the program, so when you are running, you need to, I put the name as ABC. ABC. So there will be no output. So without this one, it worked. Now there is no any scanf for printf function. Now I compiled using GCC, so it worked properly. So try to include the printf function here. When I include the printf function and save the file. So after that, when you are trying to generate, it will give you the error because printf it cannot identify, because in the code blocks it automatically include that part. So there are so many errors. Sorry, so many questions. 195013p Dilshani. Can we return function without hash include? Yeah, you can return the function without hash include. Remember that hash include is used for the printf and scanf. That means standard input and output. If you are using the standard input and output, which means like scanf and printf, you need the hash include. Otherwise, you do not need you do not want to use it as a header file. And 195.091b Udani AAI. So please, can you explain the meaning of hash A, hash B in the previous question? So in the previous question, hash A and hash B. Yeah, this I put the previous one. Okay, hash A, that means here, assume that now I am going to print, now I am going to run this kind of one, welcome. So what I am going to do is, I am going to printf. Let's say hello. Assume that the two names are Kamal and Saman and Kamal. Hello, Saman and Kamal, welcome. Assume that now I need to print hello, Saman and Kamal, welcome. So here I just hard coded. Assume that instead of Saman and Kamal, assume that whatever the name you put, let's say Aruni and Nimal. So what happened when you are running this one? So hello, Saman and Kamal, welcome. So because this is the hard coded one. So when you're printing this one /n, I put it here. So when you're printing this one, this will print hello, Saman and Kamal, welcome, because it is mentioned as Saman and Kamal, welcome. This just hard coded. Assume that instead of Saman and Kamal, I want to print Aruni and Nimal. That means A and B, that variables A and B. So what you can do is here you have to remove the Saman and you have to use hash A. So when you're using the hash A, this part is a separate part and this part is another separate part. So which means when you're using the hash A, you have to separate it to the two strings. Hello is another part, and this part is another part. Inside here, you pass the variable Aruni. And the Kamal also that you need to replace it with the Nimal. So how to replace? Here you need to remove the Kamal and use the two double quotes. And inside the two double quotes, you have to use hash B. And you may use full stop space for identification. Now when you are running this one, now hello Aruni and Aruni and Nimal welcome. Here you substitute hash A and hash B instead of Saman and Kamal. So I think you may understand that part. So just text substitution. Text take a replace karna rake. That is the meaning of the hash. And there is another question 195.064v. So in the function, it doesn't matter the variable name. Doesn't matter the variable names. Is it same in the macro? Doesn't matter the variable. It doesn't matter the variable names. What does it mean by doesn't matter the variable name? So you mean the variable that data type int or this one. So here you do not need to provide int or double. I don't know what did you ask from that part. If such a case, the data type is optional. You do not need to type the data types. So I don't know whether you asked that one, the Pereira PKNP. So explain it little bit clearly. Then I can give you the answer. And that's another question 194.099a Madhushani R. So rather than printf, isn't there any function to print statement? Yeah, for the scanf function, can use the get char. So you may use the puts function. So if you want to print something, you may use the puts. Let's say hello or something. So this we put hello. Like a scanf function, you may use the puts. When if you want to get the input, you may use the gets. And there is a function if gets available. There are, you can Google and find what are those functions available. There are several functions available, not only the scanf and printf. Okay, 194.155T Siham FM. So can we use int main instead of void main? Yeah, you can use the int main. Here also you may use the int main. It doesn't matter. Int mean returning something. So here the actual return type is doesn't matter for the main function. Actual main function mean your system is the caller. Therefore you do not need to return anything. Here doesn't matter whether you may use int main or void main for the main function. Okay, but the other function it is must to provide whether int or main or int or void or double or whatever the one. Okay, next question 194.146R Sena Nayak. So is hash variable name only possible in printf inside the macro and not print inside the function? Yeah, function inside the function, I think it is not possible because it is only support for the macro. I'll check and let you know. So you may try out inside the function also. I think inside the function it may not work. That is only works in the macro part. So that is why I told you the macro is little bit easier than in the function. You can't do such kind of things usually. And I'll check and let you know whether actually it can do or not. I think it cannot do in the function. And 195.065v, it takes the input ordered way. Yeah, it takes the input ordered way. You have to provide it like a function. You have to provide the input in ordered way. and 194148B, Senarat no something. So is hash variable name only for a string, or can't we use it for numbers? No, usually you can't use it for the numbers. Yeah, it is for the string variable. So numbers, you may pass the numbers also, number taken as a string. So assume that if you pass a number 78, it take the 78 as a string and print hello 78 and whatever the number will come likewise. And 195064V, that's what I asked. I don't know. I think I answered for that one. And 194186M, Vijayman SD. So can't we put the whole printf statement inside one double quotation? Include hash A and hash B. That mean inside one thing. That mean inside one quotation. Likewise. You mean in this kind of one, hash A and hash B. So here when you are calling the message, pass to variable Saman Kamal. No, that is not possible. Then it print hash A and hash B. So you have to use the string concatenate properly. Otherwise, this will not work. How can we identify the default return value? So that means 194094 Elvira code. How can we identify the default return value when there is multiple processes in macro? How can I know the default return value? Yeah, so you can't. That mean it is a good question. 194094 Elvira code asks that how we can identify default return value. Actually, you can't use that one. So whatever the your first statement, it identified as a default return value. So remember that in the macro there is no return value. So whatever you print, so this one will be there. So that means default return value is actually it is void, does not return anything. So this will be print. So if you want to return something, so you have to provide it so as a first value, then it will be returning. Actually, it will be defined. Actually, not the return, it will be defined. So you can't use that multiple processors. If you have multiple processors, actually, so you have to put it in one line. That means I will give you some examples. So likewise, in the normal function, you can't do that. Means do the several processes after that return. That is not possible. So I want to come to that part later. That is a good question. 194 that 094L Virocon. If you have multiple processors in the macro, that means multiple processors mean I think you may ask the multiple lines available. Then actually you can't return such kind of one. If you have multiple lines available, you can't do return such kind of one. So you have to add only one line to return that one. So that is the define. 194099A Madhushani. So when creating variable names in macros, what are the rules? Excluding lowercase, uppercase, digits, and underscore. So assume that now you declare the 3A likewise. So here you pass 3A, you mean this kind of one. That means rules likewise. So here it will give you the same error. That means, so when you are declaring the variables, it should be according to the that rules of declaring variables. Then it will print in the proper way. So it is same as the declaring. So normal variables in the C program. And 1950 195.002G atapattu. So if we get input, how does this work? It's work usually whatever you get input from the scan. I think you may ask the get the input from the scanf function. So whatever the get input from the scanf function, so you can pass it to the here. So but usually scanf function, I'll check and let you know. Inside the macro, I think you can't use the scanf function. Likewise, assume that here after printing this one, assume that you ask for the scanf function. Likewise, scanf function. So when you are declaring here also no data type you have to use, but when you are using any other one, I think you must use the such kind of variables. So that means here when you are declaring the variables, you have to use int x. So likewise, so if you want, you may use the semicolon. For if you have multiple lines, it is better you use the semicolon. And after that, you may use percentage d after that and x. So which mean when you are using this kind of one, yeah, here then, so this will give you, I think this will give you an error, this kind of function. So what does it mean by? Yeah, here there is no error and continuation mark and go to the next line. So then say int x. Yeah, I'll check and let you know. I can't remember. I think scanf function, likewise, you cannot get the input from the preprocessor macro. I'll check and let you know that part. And there is another one. So can we use user-defined function inside the macro? Can we use user-defined functions? What does it mean by user-defined functions? According to my knowledge, I think you may ask whether you may user defined function, just function. That mean I think the user, you cannot call the user defined function inside the macro. I think it is not possible. So I'll check and let you know in the next lab session also. And 99A again, so in this program can't we use another user defined function replace in the main function? So can we use the can't we use other user defined function? So I think you asked the same question. And 99A again, so can't we use scanf function inside the main function to get the input? Yeah, inside the function, I think the scanf is not possible. So I'll check and let you know that. So you cannot use that inbuilt functions inside here. And the last question 106B. So if macros is only a definition, how is the printf function included in macros? So how the so if the macros is only definition, how is printf function included in the macros? What is the clear difference between function and the macro? I didn't understand that part. So if the macro is only a definition, how is the printf function included in macro? Only a definition. What is the clear difference between function and macro? So I think inside the printf function, actually I don't understand what is the clear definition. That Maya Dunna will, if the macro is only a definition, how is the printf function included in macros? Actually, I didn't get that point. What did you mean by? So first of all, let you know whether we can use the scanf function or not. I didn't use this one. Let's say int x. Okay, integer type variable. So when you are using this kind of x variable, so that means if you need any user defined variable, that means not for the passing variable, here you have to use the integer type. That means data type is you have to use when you are declaring a variable inside the macro int x. After that, assume that you need to provide the next part, let's say scanf function. Inside the scanf function, you use percentage %d and x. Yeah, it is waiting for taken the value. So value is 6. So after that, you are trying to print that value. Printf input value is percentage %d/n. Input value is percentage %d/n. After that, pass x variable. So here I say 7. Input value is 7. Yeah. For the one question, it is possible to use a scanf other function inside the macro also. So here I get the answer. So you may use the other function. That means printf function is already used. So scanf function also works. It's you can get the input from the scanf function in the macro. And so if the macro is only a definition, how can printf function macros? What is the clear definition with? Okay, so I meant if we are able to write functions such as printf inside macro, is function a subpart of a macro or not? Such as a printf inside the macro, is this function is a subpart of, yeah, it is a subpart of the macro. So that means inside the macro you use the scanf function. The scanf function is obviously you can use. Actually still I can't remember whether scanf function is working properly in the other platform also. I'll check and let you know. In the my platform, scanf function is working. So if the printf function is working, obviously other functions maybe works inside the macro. It doesn't matter. The, according to your question, so you mean so if you are using the scanf for printf function, so it is a part of the macro. That means inside the part of the macro you use the other one. That means inbuilt functions. I think now you may get that idea. Anyone has Any other things? Okay, another one, 99 is and is necessary to use the scanf function. So and is necessary to use scanf function and is mandatory because mm, I think here and is because actually you don't know about the function when you're calling here and a function. So that means when you're using the 8, so segmentation fall. That means actually it cannot use that one. So which mean when you are without end option, that mean you have to pass it as a reference and mean actually memory address. So I think so is the and necessary to use the scanf function. So and is must in the scanf function because you have to pass the actual location. Then scanf function will assign that value to that memory location. Whatever the user input one through the keyboard will be assigned to the memory allocation. So when you are the memory location, so to access memory location, you have to pass the memory location. How to pass the memory location? I told you in the pointers, you have to use the and sign. In the and present, you may pass that value. After passing, you may access this one. So I think in the macros also the same thing. That means you have to pass the actual location. And 001 obviously, so we can work with multiple printf functions by using brackets. It works for me. So we can work with multiple printf functions using brackets. So what did you mean by multiple printf functions by using bracket? So can you give me the example? Actually, I don't understand what did you mean by here. And 99A again, so but in strings we don't use and in scanf function. Why is that? So remember that if you are using the string, so that means string mean it is an that mean you have to pass it as an array. I think you mean that one. 1940999A, that Madhushani RCM, that means you pass it as a character array, no? Isn't it or not? String mean you pass it as character. So remember that for the arrays, actually it is not mandatory to pass it as n. So what does it mean by n? N mean memory address. So you have to pass the memory address. If you do not provide and, so what happen is, so it doesn't pass the memory address, it pass a value only. But remember that for the arrays, there is no option to pass a value. For the arrays, actually we didn't check the arrays yet. So we will do the arrays in the next lab session. Then you will understand that one. Remember that for the if you declare an array, you never pass the value. Only you can pass the memory address. Arrays වල කවදාවත් value එකක් pass කරන්න බෑ. අනිවාර්යෙන් memory address එක actual location එක pass කරන්න ඕන. So you have to pass the actual location. Whether you put and or not for the arrays, not only the character or whatever the one, if you pass an any integer array or whatever the array, it is always passed by reference. You cannot pass a copy of an array. So not only the string mean the character array, character or double or float or integer, if you use whatever the array, that is always passed by reference. You have to pass it the original memory location. That means assume that you declare an array called a. When you are passing a for the scanf for whatever the one, then what happen? Which mean you pass the actual one. That in here and is optional. That means whether you pass or not, always it pass the memory location. That is the difference between the string. String mean it is character array. That is not belongs to array. It is sorry that's not belongs to the string. It is belong to the array. ඒක අර string වල තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙමෙයි array වල තියෙන එකක්. arrays වලට හැමතිස්සම array එකක් pass කරනවා කියන්නේ and අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. array එකක් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම pass by reference තමයි යවන්නේ. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම memory location එක යවන්න. It pass the memory location. And 001 So what does it mean? So can't we work with multiple printf function using bracket? Hash define name. So multiple printf statement using printf apple printf son. So that means so I copy this one and paste it here. So that means you call the name function, you print the apple and son, apple son likewise. Multiple printf statement likewise here. So actually also why do you use multiple? So that is also work. So that means multiple if you need the multiple printf statement, so why do you need the bracket? That is the problem. That means if you need, you may use the bracket, it doesn't matter. So likewise also that means hash define name and you may use multiple printf apple and son. So apple son, this will be printed likewise. So if you need, you may use the brackets also, it doesn't matter. That means you put the bracket likewise here. So likewise you put the brackets. That is also, first one is wrong. First one is wrong. What is the difference between first one and the second one? Printf apple. You mean first one is wrong. What is the difference between first one and second one? It seems to be both one are same. No? Actually, I can't find the difference between the first one and the second one. Hash include st. I think the first one is wrong. Belongs to the, I think a hash include standard library. No. So standard library. I think in your one, first one is wrong because of the stand of library. Because you are using the printf function. Here you are using the printf function. It will not work without the standard library. That means without hash include stdio. Uh, so, so why did you use the standard library here? That so if you are using the printf function, so you need to use the hash include stdio.header file, standard input and output header file. Actually, I didn't understand your question. Why did you mean by multiple printf statement with this one? And actually, your question is not clear. That is the problem. So if you are using the standard library, so that means in my one is we working because I am using the code blocks without the without hash include stdio also it is working. So when you compile this one, I think there will be an error. So when you try to compile this one using normal compile, there will be an error. And 106v. So can we use only inbuilt function like printf inside the macro? can we use only inbuilt function like printf in the macro, or can we use user defined functions like add in addition to the inbuilt function? So actually I also have no idea of that one. Let's check and let you know. Okay, you may use that one, whether we can use that one. So for an example, let's say you use the inbuilt function void display, this kind of one. Printf, here you may use inside display. Here you print inside display, and this is the function declaration, and you use hash define, let's say test. Okay, now your function is test. After that you are trying to call display, you're trying to call display, and here you are trying to call test. I think that when you're testing, there is no any input and output. Yeah, it's working. So you may use that one. Inside that, when you may declare a display function, inside you wrote the macro test, inside the test you call the display. So after you call in the display, so what happened? So inside the main function you call test. When you call the test macro, you call the display. It works. I think now you may understand that part. So can't we use this kind of macro? Hash include you hash define message AB printf hello A and B welcome int P scanf percentage D. So actually I can't remember. Just copy and paste it here. Input value 7. So the thing is here you must printf hello hash A hash B welcome. Yeah, the problem is, let's say 9 and 5. Yeah, problem is when you're, yeah, that means you ask the question, and that means after using the hash, that means hash line, the others will not work. That's the problem I think you may ask. That means when you are using this kind of one, if you remove this part, so then it will work. That means when you enter 8, input value is 8. So does the macro end after the first printf statement? Yeah, usually it not end after the first printf statement. So that means if you are using the printf function, let's say printf hello slash n, after that continuation, yeah, problem is I think there are some problems occurred in the macros when you are defining. That means after we are printing the hello, so this will give you that AB. Yeah, it end at that point, I think, because of the terminating point. That means, for an example, so I copy and paste your part again. So when I use this part, so this will give you due to the, yeah, hello Saman and welcome after that 8. Yeah, this problem is according to your question. So that means printf, after the printf function, if you have another line, put the semicolon. That means this is end of the line. After that, there is another one. The problem is you didn't put the semicolon here. Then what happened? It will, that means when you are using that one, it can't go to the next line. So if you have a multiple printf statement, end it with the semicolon, and end p, end it with the semicolon. That means when you are using the multiple line, but the thing is usually macros written in one line. Therefore, we do not use a semicolon as the end of the line because we usually written in the one line. So if you are using that one, this is the problem error that means. So which mean you didn't put the, so there is semicolon missing. That is why it doesn't go to the next line. And here there is another mistake. There you have to use the and p. So you miss the and also. So when you are running this one, so now you will get the answer. Hello, someone, welcome. After that 5, input value is 5. So I think you may understand that part, that Gamalat RS 044D. Did you get your point or not? I think you asked that point. Okay. So does macro end after the printf statement? No, it is does not print end after the printf statement. You have to use a semicolon and the continuation mark. Then it will go to the line by line properly. Actually, when you are writing this one, that is why I told you. So in the lab session, it say that it is very simple. That means macros are very simple rather than the function. Actually, sometimes it is not simple. That means you are familiar with the functions. If you are familiar with the function, then it is little bit harder for you to identify. Any other problem you encounter in the macros? Actually, I also encountered this problem in the first time in the lab session. Because you are the good students, that means you ask so many questions from me. That's why, because the last past That means past year student, they doesn't ask such kind of questions. That is why I didn't check that for you. That means I didn't check it for check it properly also. So at the moment I check and know that this is okay and this is not okay. So likewise, it's better you ask the question and try to clarify your problems. And another one, 001U. So can't we use empty lines inside the macro? Can't we use empty line? Well, usually empty lines are not. That means you may use an empty line. So if you are using empty line, you have to use this kind of one. Yeah. That is also working. That means empty line mean if you are using empty line, you have to use that continuation mark. That means without this kind of empty line is not working. That means without this one, then this part is a separate thing. And remember that there another mistake that you have been done is, so after this, assume that so now this is the macro. After this any line, assume that after this line you put space. If you put space, this is a separate line. This is not the continuation. So remember that after the continuation, do not put any spaces. ඔය continuation mark එකට පස්සේ slash එකට පස්සේ spaces තියන්න එපා. If you put any spaces, it will give you a compilation error. That means it is not the proper continuation to the next one. So if you put space, you may identify this is not the next line. So here also assume that if you put space, then there is an error. So remember that after the continuation mark, don't put any spaces. So that means before the continuation mark, you can put the spaces, it doesn't matter. Likewise here, before the continuation mark, you may put whatever the one, but after the continuation mark, do not put any spaces. Here, if you put space, then there will be an error. And 194106V. So do macros get compiled after the pre-processing? No, they are pre-processed and attached to the compilation as a function. They are pre-processed and attached. Before the compilation part, it pre-process. After that, the rest of the code compilation happen. Before, that means when you are going to compile, this part will be pre-processed and after that attached to this main function for the compilation. That's happening. So next one, 194099A. So inside macro, can we use every data type when get input using scanf function, float, double, etc. Or are there any restrictions? Yeah, according to my knowledge, I think there are no any restrictions. You may use whatever the get the input using scanf function. That means float, double. So you may check that one also. Assume that now, let's say instead of int, let's say float p and percentage f and p, and input value is percentage f and p value. So here hello someone, after that 7.9, input value is 7.9. So there is no restrictions available. I don't know whether you mean any other one or this question. That means Madhushani RCMN. Did you ask this kind of one, any float or double? Okay, this one. Oh, seems to be there is no any restriction. You may use whatever the float or double inside the macro. Any other questions you have? Do you have any other questions? Yeah, another one, 9194001U. Why code length will be increased by using macros? Yeah, thing is, so code length will be increased mean, I think, so that mean when you are writing the program, so not always code length increase. That mean if you want to write any program, not like, so which mean here code length increases, code length increases. So mm, code length increase mean, how can I tell you that part? Mm, okay, at the moment I can't explain by to you. Okay, I'll explain in the next lab session how it is increased, that one. So at the moment I have no idea of that one, how it will be increased. Any other questions do you have? Yeah, there's another. So if the macro is not compiled, how is the macro turned into the machine code of the program execution? If macro is not compiled, that means compilation error. How is the macro turned into the machine code for program execution? So which means, so actually they assume that if you use this kind of one, that means and is missing. So when you are getting this one running the program, and when you use 6, so it will give segmentation false likewise. So which mean when you try to the pre-process, not the compilation error. So when you try to pre-process, it will give you such kind of errors. Any other questions? Shall we move to the next part in the lab session? Okay, there is another pre-processing part is, so if not defined, that mean if condition. Do you have any other problem up to here? Shall we move to the next part? So what does it mean by side effects happen by macro to a program? Side effect. So actually side effect mean the thing is actually it is not the part of the compiler. So at the moment I can't say that other side effects can be happen. That mean so sometimes there will be a outputs will be there according to the macro. The output is sometimes may not be the correct output. So such kind of side effects may be there. So actually at the moment I can't explain that one. So I try to explain in the next week that part. What does it mean by side effect? Any other questions? So can we write comment inside the macros? So actually comments inside the macros are, for an example, let's say here you may put, actually I think comments are not possible inside the macro. So when you are writing the comment, this will give you as a whole part as a comment. So when you are writing this one, so this will other all part get as a comment. So I'll check and let you know. Actually, I have no idea of how to write a comment inside the macro. I think it's not possible. Inside the macro, write a comment. That means if you want to write a comment, yeah, it is. I think it's not possible. After the slash, yeah, after the slash also, I think it is not possible. That means when you are writing something, so it is not the next line. So after the continuation mark, you can't write anything. If you put space or anything, it is not the continuation mark. So by using this kind of one hash and this part, so actually that is also not the continuation. This will give you the mistakes. So which mean, yeah, when you are using that kind of one, that means hash this one and this kind of one. So after that again you have to use continuation mark. That means this is not the continuation mark. That means you have to use this kind of comment after that this line. So when you check hello, segmentation fall mean this is there is a problem in the end. Yeah, in the multiple comment line it works. Here 6 and 6.0. So this kind of comments, yeah, it's working. So you may use that multiple comment line, not the single comment line. Single comment line mean this is the single comment line. If you use a single comment line, it is not possible. So if you use the multiple comment line, it works. This kind of multiple comment line. Any other questions? If you don't have any question, we can move to the next part. Okay, for an example, so there is another one. So which means this part kind of one. If this one is not, let's copy and paste this every part. Okay, next one is, so when you are using the if, that mean here use, that mean test whether compile time conditions is true. So that mean, for an example, so define mean whether, check whether, define message, check whether any message is defined. Sorry, hash mean not defined, check whether this kind of macro is defined or not. Here you have defined this macro hash define. So macro name is message, it is defined as hello world. It is defined as hello world. There is a macro call message, there is a macro call message defined as hello world. After that, it check whether if macro call message is not defined, if it is not defined, then define message you wish, and after that end if. So here is a if part in the macro and the end if part. So then what happened when you run this one? So if it is defined, sorry, if it is not defined, then define that one. But it is already defined. Therefore, this if condition false because it is already defined, hello world. Therefore, when you are calling, here is message. When you are calling the message, the hello world will be printed. Here is the message, hello world. So assume that this one is not defined. That means this macro has not been defined. The hello world message, it has not been defined. Then what happened? Then the you wish will be run, because now that message has, the macro has not been defined. So actually you may get confused that what is the purpose of using that one. So remember that macros are always not written in the same one. That means macros sometimes may be written in a different file, or sometimes macros may be written in the command line argument. That means when you are passing, when you are running this one, you may define the macro at the command line also. So likewise, if such kind of macro define not defined, then you may define as this one, otherwise use the defined one. So likewise, this kind of macro commands are available. Anyone has problem up to here? No problem. Okay, now I did this kind of one, adding or square mean multiplication, this kind of one. So you may rewrite this one. So using square. So this is the function. This is the function for the square. Square mean whatever the x value into x value, return x into x. Square. You can rewrite square x, answer is x into x. No return keyword, just directly use that one. And by using the condition, if you have a condition, then you may define as that maximum value. You need to find the maximum value between. So if you copy and paste maximum value, hash define max, the macro name is max, and pass the x and y values. Let's say integer values, you pass x and y values. When you pass x and y, you use the ternary operator. So do you remember the ternary operator? How does it work? Let's say remove this part. Ternary operator. So remove this part also, then sometimes you may get confused. So when you are passing this one, max numbers between 10 and 20, max between 20 and 10 is 20. So here you pass the x and y variable. Here you check x greater than y and the ternary operator. If this one is true, the answer is defined as x, which means it looks like return x. It looks like return x. Actually, it is not returning. It is defined. If x greater than y, answer is defined as x. Otherwise, answer is defined as y. Do you understand? Then when you are calling 10 and 20, 10 greater than y, condition false, then it is defined as y. Anyone has problem? Okay, now I think you have covered the everything up to the today's lab session. So try out these exercises. Write a macro program to find the area of a circle using macro. Area of a circle using macro. How to write the area of a circle using macro? How to define area of a circle using macro? You may use hash define, let's say area. And after that, so if you need to declare the area of a circle, you have to provide that radius. So area of the circle is 5r squared. 5 into r into r. So you have to provide r. So I put it as r. Then what is the variable? 5 into r into r. 5 means 3.14 into r into r. 3.14 into r into r. So this is the answer. Area of circle, if you pass the parameter r, answer is 3.14 r into r, 5r squared. So when you are calling this one, let's say printf area of a circle is percentage. There can be a, this will return floating point number, therefore percentage f slash n, and you may pass area and pass the value, let's say 7. So 153, this kind of value is there. So you may put, first of all, you may put it to the variable, let's say float answer is equal area 7, and here you may pass the answer. This one. If you want, you may get the 7 as a keyboard input. You may use printf enter value for r. After that, scanf percentage d and r. Take that value. After that, you may pass the r variable. You may declare int, let's say radius, int radius, then not the r, this one is n radius. So here also n radius. So when you are passing this one, enter value for r, let's say 7, area of a circle. Yeah, I mistakenly put it as percentage D. Yeah, it is percentage D now. And radius. So what is the error? It mentioned that when you use the 7, yeah, when you use 7, the area is this one 153. No problem. Assume that any other number, if it is 7, 153, if it is 3, 28 likewise. So this is the macro area. So assume that 3.14, it is a constant value. You can put it inside the, you may put it inside the another macro. That means hash define pi. You may define it as 3.14. You may define it as 3.14. Here instead of 3.14, you may use pi. Then save and run. Then R is 7, 153. That answer is okay. And there is another question 44D. So can't we write it like this by using two macros? Ah, yeah, you did it the same one here, no? According to my example. You may write it as a two macro. That means define this one as here and after that here. The same one you ask here. Any other questions? Shall we move to the second one? Write a C program to swap two variables using macro expansions. So remember that when you are passing the variables to the macro, it is passed by reference. So that means when you are swapping two variables, so actual variables also swap. For an example, assume that you define the swap hash define, let's say macro name is swap. So when you're swapping, you have to provide two variables, x comma y. Okay, when it is x comma y, so now you need to swap. That means x value to the y and y value to the x. So when you're swapping, first of all, you have to put, that means when you are putting x value to the y, then you will lose the y value. When you are if you are using the y value to the x, then you are using the x value. First of all, take whether x or y to a temporary variable. Therefore, I declare int temp is equal initially x value I put to the temp variable. After that continuation, next what to do is, now x value is available in temporary location. Now you may change the x value. Then x is equal y. Put that y value to the x. Okay. After that, y is equal temp. That is the end of the macro. Now you change the x and y value. So here you may declare a variable int a, b. Let's say a is equal 7, b is equal 4. Let's say printf before swap a is percentage d and b is percentage d slash n. You may pass the a comma b value. After that, you use the swap. Swap, you pass a and b. So then what happened? Again, you print what are the a and b values. After swap. Now try to run this command. Sorry, run this program. Before swap, a is 7, b is 4. After swap, A is 4, B is 7. So when you are working with macro, actually, although you pass it as a pass by value, here you pass it as a pass by value, although it is pass by value, the macros are pre-processed. That means actual values will be changed. So it change that actual values when you are using the macros. So this is the answer. When you are swapping, A and B values has been changed. Then try out the third one. If you have any questions, you may ask. Write a C program to find the summation and multiplication for two numbers using macro function. Summation and multiplication. Try out the summation and multiplication. So what is the use of temp? Temp mean I use the variable temp for the swapping. That means, so when you are using, when you are swapping x and y values, for an example, if you do not use this kind of one, if you use x equal y and, sorry, x equal y and y equal x, what happened? What happened when you are running this one? A is 7, B is 4 initially. After the fact, A is 4, B is also 4. So what is the reason? So what happened? So when you are passing the A is 7, B is 4, passing the 7 and 4. Here pass the 7 and 4. Then what happened? Y is 4, you put the 4 to the x. You put the 4 to the x. Then what happened to the x value? You will lose the x value. Did you understand that one? That is why we use the temporary location. Did you get that one, that Maya don't know something? That is why we need a temporary location. Okay. So this is not belong to the macro, that this is for just when you're swapping, you need a temporary location. It is no need to put the temp, you may use whatever the variable, that means PO, KO, likewise you may use whatever the variable here. And 94F Madhushani K. So don't, then we need to use pointers for macros. Yeah, here actually you do not need to use the pointers. Actually, pointers mean, so if you want, you may use it pointers inside the macros also. That is a different thing. So that means when you are calling the macro, it is passed by reference. That means it passed the actual values. It looks like passed by reference. Try out the next question. The simple thing, summation and multiplication of two numbers. How to get the summation? So you may use the two macros. Hash define sum. Let's say x comma y. X comma y. How to get the sum? Answer is x plus y. This is the answer. If you want, you may put it inside the bracket also. This is the answer. The brackets are optional. And the multiplication, hash define. Multiplication means product. Let's say PROD, product of two numbers. Or otherwise you may use a multi or something. X comma y. What is the answer? X into y. If you want, you may put bracket A and B. Let's say add two numbers. Add two numbers. Here, let's say you call sum more, add though whatever the name you put. Here you put the sum and pass 3 and 4. After that, there is no sub available now. Add and multiply two numbers, 3, let's say prod. Use the slash n and use the slash n. Here you have to provide the answer. No? Add two numbers, percentage d, multiply two numbers, percentage d slash n. Add two numbers, that means 3, 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. Product 3 into 4. 3 into 4 is 12. So this is very easy one. And try out fourth one. Write a C program to find odd or even for the given number using macro. Check whether value is odd or even. Check whether value is odd or even. How to check whether it is odd or even? So let's say macro is even, hash define is even, and pass the variable n or x or whatever the one. Let's say x. How to check whether it is even? Check whether it is divisible, x value is divisible by. So can't we use x and y instead of, yeah, you may use the x and y variable, it doesn't matter. In the previous question, if you want, you may use the x and y variable rather than hard coding the values. Okay. Hash define is even. So you have to check whether x modulus 2 equal 0. If x value modulus 2 equal 0, which mean, what is the answer? That means if it is divisible by 0, let's say it is 1. 1 mean true or something. So otherwise you may use the true. Then output is true, is even. Else define it as false. So I little bit put some spaces. So if this part is true, that means x divisible by 2, that means x modulus 2 equal 0. If this one true, then define it as a string called true. Otherwise define a string called false. Okay, let's say now take the keyboard input, printf, enter a number, scanf, percentage d and number, declare the variable int number. After that, what you have to do is, so you have to get that number variable is available in the number available. After that, you have to call is even. So I use the printf, entered value is an even number even number. Here you may pass whether true or false. That means this will print as a string percentage s slash n, and here you may pass is even. So you may call number, pass that number. So when you are running this one, enter number 4. The entered value is an even number, true. So it will let you give you the output as true. So assume that enter number 7, entered value is an even number, false. 7 is not an even number. So here I use the percentage s. Why it is percentage s? Because this one is defined as true or false. That means it is a string. So this one will return the value defined as a string. Therefore, I put it as percentage s. So otherwise, assume that rather than printing this one, you need to print something, print inside here. Rather than returning something, you here printf true. Here you may use printf. Printf true, else printf false. Okay. Then what you can do is so entered value is an entered value is check for even number. Let's say check for even number. After that, you may call that this one even. You may directly call is even and pass x. Did I make any mistake here? That is not the problem. Yeah, x is not declared. That is the problem. So not the x. You have to pass it as a number. Enter number. Let's say 7. Entered values check for even number. False. So I better you put the true and slash n. Otherwise you may can't find this one slash n. Entered number 8 is true. Entered value check for even number true. Entered value 3 check for even number false. So like because here it is does not return something, it defined as printing. Defined as printing true. And here it is defined as printing false. Anyone has problem? Now write a C program to convert temperature to the Fahrenheit, sorry, temperature in centigrade to Fahrenheit. Convert centigrade to Fahrenheit using macro. So conversion is given there. Whatever the centigrade value, you have to multiply it by 9 and divide by 5 and add 32. So what is cube? Cube mean, so cube mean, I think so that mean that Maggie soup cube. I think you know that one. That cube mean how to define that cube. Ganakaya කියලා කියන්නේ cube. So which mean cube. This one we called as cube. And 64V. So what does the last line do? Is even number. So here this one is a caller. Last line means this. Here you call the macro. Here you define the macro. Here you call the macro. When you are calling the macro, it print either true or false. මේ macro එක call කරාම true hari false hari කියලා print කරනවා. It print either true or false. Did you get that one or do I need to explain that part? 195, that's 195.064V Pereira PKNP. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Celsius to Fahrenheit. Yes, hash define, let's say Celsius to Fahrenheit. C, let's say C2F. C2F, Celsius to Fahrenheit. And you have to pass temperature. Let's say temperature mentioned as T, variable T. How to convert? Temperature, that T multiplied by 9 divided by 5. That means that T multiplied by 5 and divide by 9. So remember that 5 divided by 9 all are integers. So therefore this will not give you the correct division. Therefore put the 5.0 or 9.0. I use the 9.0. After that plus 32. So this is the answer. It gives you the answer here. So int number, enter temperature. It asks to give the temperature in centigrade. So print the centigrade, then you have to convert. Enter temperature in centigrade. After that, scanf and take it to the number variable, whatever the temperature, take it to the number. So entered value is, sorry, entered temperature in Fahrenheit. In Fahrenheit, what is the spelling of Fahrenheit? Yeah, this is the spelling. In Fahrenheit is, so you may call here, you may get the call as in that when you are converting, it may take the floating point number. Float answer is equal C to F, pass that number. After that, pass that number to the answer to the here. Percentage is, here pass percentage. So here answer is in the floating point value, therefore percentage F. In Fahrenheit is percentage F. So try to run this one. Enter temperature centigrade. Let's say our human body temperature in centigrade, I think 36, no? Human body temperature. Enter temperature is Fahrenheit is 52. I think there is a mistake. How does it happen to the 52? So check it again. So put the slash n. 9 divided by 5. Ah, yeah. Multiplied by 9. I did the mistake. Multiplied by 9 divided by 5.0 something. Okay. Let's say temperature in centigrade 36. In Fahrenheit 96. Yeah, this is the answer. Anyone has problem? Okay, let's move to the next part. Write a macro that return true if the parameter divisible by 10 and false otherwise. So I think this is easy for you. You may divide that mean divisible by, write a macro that return true if the parameter is divisible by 10. So let's say dev by 10 hash define dev by 10 divisible by 10. So here pass the, let's say, value, the variable is value, all so that x, variable x is, how to check whether that one, check whether x modulus 10 equal 0, which mean it is true, else false. If it is divisible by 10, then it is true, otherwise false. You have to return this one. So now call this one, enter a number, hash define number, and you will get, so you may directly print that one, entered number divisible by 10 is percentage s, that means string value. This will return the string value. String mean here true or false, string value. Therefore, you may return that one. So here call divisible by 10 and divisible by 10, pass it to the variable that number. Now run this one. Enter a number, let's say 6. Enter number divisible by, yeah, I think divisible by 10 is, entered number, let's say 6. Entered number divisible by 10 is false because 6 cannot be divisible by 10. Let's say 9. Yeah, that is also false. Let's say 45. That is also false. Let's say 20. It is true. It can be divisible by 10. The simple macro. Try out the next one. Write a macro. The macro name is digit. Write a macro is digit that return true if the argument is a decimal digit. So that means write a macro that is digit that return true if its argument is a decimal digit. That means if user entered the value is 0 to 9. Decimal digit means 0 to 9. That means A, B, C, D values are not decimal digits. 0 to 9, that which means decimal digit. If user entered value is 0 to 9, then return true, otherwise false. Define it as true, otherwise false. So I think that is not a big issue. So let's say macro is name as is digit. Put it as is digit and assume that variable is d. Digit is d. How to check whether this d is how to check whether this d is digit or not? If it is, if that number, assume that it is integer value, then if it is greater than 0 and less than 9, then it is a digit. That means any other one, that means A, B, C, D, you can't use it for the greater than or less than. So you may use that D greater than or equal 0, greater than or equal 0, and D less than or equal 10 if this both one are true. So I put the bracket. If both one are true, then output is true. Then define it as true. Otherwise, define it as false. Did you get that one? So try out that one. If this one is, let's say you get a character, take a character and check whether in this one. So let's say char x, enter character, use that percentage C and put and x, and after that what you can do is entered value is a decimal digit. Entered value is a decimal digit. You may return true or false. Percentage S, here you may call this macro. Copy this one and call is digit, pass that X variable. Enter character, let's say 6. I took it from the, yeah, I took it as a integer and check, no? I put it as an integer, and after that yeah, so here I check the D is greater than or this one, so it's better, so not the character, take it as a X as an integer value. Int X, enter digit, so put it to the D variable. Entered value is a decimal digit, and you pass the variable 6 is true entered value is a decimal digit. Hmm. What does that? Did I make any mistake? Percentage D is digit. Hmm. Greater than or equal 0 and x value less than or equal 9. What happened here? Enter digit 5 is true. Enter digit H, that means H is greater than 0 and then D less than or equal 10. In true. Hmm. Why does this one take the... So you have to enter the number, enter the digit, and the percentage D you taken a number. Hmm. Dot header file. So actually, why do we need to include the string dot header file? Do we need, do we do we check any star copy function here? So don't we need to include? Yeah, percentage S is there, no? So percentage S is there, no? Check whether hash include string dot header file. True. Yeah, but when you are using the Y also, mm, percentages. I think there is a problem in the, not this part. Let's say char x, enter a digit, percentage C and x, 5, enter a digit 5 is false, y also false. We pass it as index decimal. So when you are printing that one, percentage S, Yeah, you need this part also. Hash include string dot header file, but although it is available, the macro doesn't work properly. Hmm, true. So I think it's better you check this one as not the zeroth value. Check it as character value. Sorry, I put it as a 10 no here. So 10 is not the digit no. I think that is the mistake. So here you have to put it up to the 9. Enter digit 5 is true. Enter digit Y. Yeah, that is also putting that one. Eight is false. Is false. So I think we better change it as a character greater than 0 and less than 9. 6 is true, Y is false. So I think it's better check it as a character value. That means 0 to 9. So I take it as a character and check it as a ASCII value. Using ASCII value, because when you go to the next one, obviously you go for the ASCII value, because in the next question it asks the is HESC. Is HESC means 0 to 9, 0 A to F, and this one. So therefore you obviously you have to go for the ASCII value. So I thought here also you may use without this one. However, so, okay, now you may use this one. That means take it as SQL. Zeroth ASCII value, that D value greater than zeroth ASCII value and less than 9, then it is a digit. That means 5 is a digit true, and 8 also digit true, and T is a digit false. Output is false. Anyone has problem? And there is a question. Hash define is digit D greater than 0. And you are calling is digit 10 null. What did you mean by null here? So you have to provide that one. I think that is incorrect. That means you put, yeah, null is 0 for the ASCII value. That is a different one. So that, but how you take the keyboard input? Now when you are using this kind of one, so that means in the ASCII, this one will give you that true or false. No? So this one will give you false. So when you are using this one, actually this give you an error. That means better you check it from the ASCII value. 0 is ASCII value 0, ASCII value 0, and so then you do not need hash. Actually string, I think it is not mandatory. Y false, 5 true. So when you are using that null value, actually, so I mean, you have to hard. So here you have to user have to input the value through the keyboard. After that, you have to provide whether this is a so, and after that, there's another one, 95H. So it is correct. And there is another one. Enter digit Y. False. Enter digit 6. Yeah, your one got the answer. What in my one actually? Percentage slash n. Enter digit 6. Entered value is the decimal value true. And the Y, yeah, this is also the correct, but what happened to the my previous one? When I did this one, it will give you a different value. So when I using this one, using integer type variable, this won't give you the correct one. So in the main function, return type should be int when use integer values. So which mean here decimal digit true. When you run it again, decimal digit true. That means we are trying to use it as int. Decimal digit false. Decimal digit true. Yeah, sometimes it may be, but I'll check and let you know what is the problem of that. When you're using the int main, there is a different one, and the void main, there is a different thing. Slash n. When you're calling this one, enter the digit 6. So is this, it is a decimal digit true. And when you are calling is digit 9, that is also true. And the k, that is false. Yeah, when I change it to the int, it correct, I'll let you know what it does. It's no, usually when you're using the int or void, doesn't matter, it give you the correct answer. I'll check and let you know that one. First operand was within. So main function return type should be when use the integer values. When we use char, don't we get to the ASCII range? Actually, I don't understand that question, that 94L zero code. When we use char, don't we have to get ASCII range? Hmm? I don't understand that part. 94L. When you use char, don't we have to have you to ASCII range? So if you are using the character, you have to use the ASCII range. Yeah, that is correct. I assume that you are using that one. Is digit true or false? And 100x Madhushanka, return is digit x. What does it mean by return is digit x? I don't understand what did you mean by return is digit x. When using int, yeah, when using int, actually main function, actually you do not need to return anything. So you may, so that means although it is int, you may just return something that mean any other value. Return 0 or something. Actually, the main function, it doesn't matter whether you are, that mean returning mean you return to the caller, that means system. To the system, you are returning 0 value, whatever the value. So returning value. So here, so when you are using the is digit, you put it to the printf function. Okay, now try out the is hex. Write a second macro is hex that return true if its argument is hex digit a to 9 and a to f and here a to f. Okay, so you have to use that one. That mean that mean hexadecimal digit. Hexadecimal are 0 to 9 and capital A to capital F or simple A to simple F. Those are the hexadecimal. So in the second macro, you should reference the first. So which mean, so now you have to use another macro, hash define is hex and pass it as D. And what to do is, now you have to check whether this one is true or false. So how to check whether true or false? First of all, you have to check whether, so this D is range from 0 to 9, or D is range from A to F, or D is range from that capital A to capital F. So 0 to 9 you already written. 0 to 9 you already written. You may use that one, is digit. Here you may check is digit. You may call if digit and pass this variable D. Whatever you pass variable D, you may pass is digit, and you can check whether equal true. So this one will return true or false. You have to check whether this one equal true. If this one equal true, then only then can we say it is a that means hex digit. No, you have to check whether another one, simple A to capital F. Sorry, simple A to simple F and capital A to that one. So therefore you have to use O operator. So I use the O operator. Again you have to check. So within the bracket I check another one, that D greater than or equal. Now you have to use the ASCII value A, and then number less than or equal simple F. That means simple A to simple F. In this range also it is a hex digit. Not only this one, you have to use another O operator and capital A to capital F. So I copy this one and paste it here. This should be capital F, sorry, capital A to capital F. So I little bit decrease this one, otherwise you can't see the entire one. Is digit true, or otherwise this one is in this range, or this one is this range. So if this one true, that means if either one true, up to here, up to selected one, if up to selected one is true, then return true, otherwise false. Therefore what you can do, you may put the bracket, start in bracket, and the end in bracket. You have to use that question mark. If this one true, return true, else return false. Okay, now check whether it is hex. Enter a digit and take entered value is a hex digit. So you call is hex and pass the variable a. So try out this one. Did I make any mistake? Entered value is hex a. Seems to be again there is a mistake happen. Hash define is, so you hash define this one. So you enter D, enter number for D. Enter number for D. Where did I enter number for D? Here. So I did the mistake here. Not the number. D greater than A and D greater than less than here. Not the number. This should be D. And try to run. Again, there was a problem. False in second macro. Here false, you have to mention it in the single quotes, double quotes. Those are the mistakes. Enter digit, let's say 7. Is hex digit true? Let's say A. Entered value is a hex digit false. That's the problem. So seems to be there was a mistake. So 7 is true. U is false. And capital A false. What is the problem? If this one equal true, or D greater than or equal A, and D less than or equal F. So what I have did that one is hex digit D. is digit equal true or D? Five is hex digit true, 8 hex digit true, A hex digit true, and Y also hex digit true. So A to F is not an integer. Yeah, that is the problem. A to F is not an integer, so you have to get it from a character value. So when you take it as a char value, I think it's better you put it as a char A and percentage C. Enter a digit 3, hex digit false. Character, let's say I put the character as here. Let's say take it from the characters 0 to 9, 0 to 9, this part. Enter digit 4, hex digit true, 6, hex digit true, and A hex digit true, and Y hex digit false. Okay, I take the everyone as the character value here because here we have to use the characters and decimal. Therefore, I use the character here and change the is digit also for the character check-in. That means it is from the 0 to 9 from the character value. So now I am running this one. Take the character inputs, and when the check-in, let's say 2 hex digit true, it is a true, and again call, let's say k is false, it is not a hex digit. Let's say b is just, it is a hex digit. Let's say capital F, that is also hex digit. So because here when you're using the hex digit, I need the both characters and the decimal places. Here the is digits work with the integer numbers, but here it is work with characters. Therefore I change the is digit for the characters, and this one also the characters. So here D is from ASCII 0 to greater than ASCII 0 and less than ASCII 9, and here other values. Here I reuse the previous macro. I use the is digit. Inside hex is hex, I reuse is digit macro. So anyone has problem up to here? And the private message, so when I enter 24N, output should be, so actually I can't read the private message, put it to the public. Don't send any private messages. Put it to the public, then I can answer. Anyone has any problem? Up to here? Using macros, C preprocessor macros. Do you have any problems up to here? Yeah, there is a message again 1940010. So when I enter 24N, output should be 10, but don't print as it is. Hmm, let's copy this one and check whether what you have written. You use hash define sum a b int t a into b float sq square root is square root of t. Okay, printf percentage fsq, enter a number. When I enter 2 for the n, output should be 10. 2 for the n. When you enter 2, output should be 10. So when you enter the 2, so when you enter the 2, yeah, when you pass, what is this? 8 plus n? 8 plus n, that means 10. You are passing the 10 into 10 is 100, square root of 100. So I think it should be n plus 8, no? 9.5 or something. Hmm. So is it possible? So usually we use the variable first, after that the this number. Hmm. Let's say when you are using this one also, n plus 8 is 2. 9.0. What happened? 2 mean 10. You pass the sum 10 and 10. In t is equal 10 into 10. Just try to print the values. What are the values? Printf a equal percentage d and b equal percentage t slash n, and pass a comma b values. Try to get the output. When you enter 2, a is 10, b is 10. Okay, a is 10, b is 10. What happened when you use 8 plus n? 8 plus n, when you enter 2, yeah, that is also the same thing. So when you are running, so what happened is 10 b, t is equal a into b. float SQ is equal SQRT. You use the square root of 100. Let's say print what is the printf t equal percentage d slash n and pass the t variable to t is 82. That is the problem. How it is t is become 82? T is equal a into b. N plus 8. Yeah, I think you have to put it as a bracket here. Then I think there is a problem when you pass in the 10. Yeah, the problem is, so when you are passing the n plus 8, so actually this will give you the answer, that means n plus 8. So save the file and run. When you pass the 2, is n plus 8. That means, so when you are passing, it will be, sometimes it may be take as a string value because you are passing this one as a macro. No? So macro, it doesn't know whether a is whatever the value. So sometimes a can be an integer value, floating value. It can be any other value because the type is not declared. Therefore, it's better you put the value to the variable and after that pass. Otherwise, put the brackets. So otherwise it will give you an error. Now you will get the correct answer, that here when you pass in the 2, that is 100. Anyone has any other questions? So is macro running after the main function? Yeah, when you are calling the macro, it running after the main function, but the macros will be, so before the compilation, that means if you are trying to compile, before compiling the main problem, that means macros will be pre-processed and attached. So when you are calling, it will be called after that one. So when you are calling, the macro will be called after the main function. That is a different thing. So anyone has any other question? Otherwise, I can wind up the class. Now it is about 8:30. So do we have assessment tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow you don't have an assessment. So I will define, so some of quick student asked that fixed date for the assessment. So I'll check from the batch rep and put a fixed date for the assessment. Most probably it may be the Saturday or Sunday. Or otherwise, you are allowed to decide what is the date, which date you like. So I'll ask from that Bimsara to with what is your preferred date for the assessment. Then I will put the assessment on every that date. Okay, I'll let you know what is the actual date, whether tomorrow or day after tomorrow, whatever the one. So most probably I plan to do it in weekend. It doesn't matter if you have free time in the, because weekday you don't have any free time. No? If you have any free time in the weekday, I can set it to the weekday also. So I will let you know the assessment date through the batch representative. Anyone has any other question? No questions. Okay, if you don't have any questions, so I can wind up the class. So seems to be no questions. Okay, so now time is 8:22. So I will conclude the lab session for today. Thank you for the participation.